Hello, and welcome back to another week on Eli's Editorial. For this podcast, we wanted to talk about our new issue of Strength and Virility, the January issue. If you guys should definitely take a look. It's a great read, a lot of good content. It took a lot of effort and constant learning process to create this magazine. But we got many comments and concerns through our emails and through our webpage on how we integrated technology such as the software, hardware, and online text that we use into this project. And as a firm believer of the use of the varieties of media, I will let you in on our secrets so that you guys can have your own success. We hope you guys are able to integrate these into your own media projects. One piece of technology that played a key role in our creative process was the camera that we used. We used the Canon EOS Rebel T7, and we specialized with the 18 to 55 millimeter lens. This was a piece of hardware technology. We used it for photos, of course, as it's a camera. It was very adaptive to lighting, many filters. It was easy to use and transfer our photos in and out. I recommend using a good camera if you have one. If you don't, no worries. Any type of recording hardware or camera hardware will work, but there's no downside to using better technology. However, as you know, we started from a small magazine, and we definitely did not have the funds for this type of camera back in 2019. So there's no shame in starting slow and building up your reputation. Continuing from the camera, of course, we took the photos, but we needed to edit the photos because although a professional camera can take professional photos, not every photo is perfect. We were in a crowded gym, so of course we need to edit out the background. We want our models to be our models. We don't want other people to interfere with the photo process. So the first thing that we used was Photoshop. I really like this app. It's my first time using it in the editing process. It was very user-friendly. Once you get all the tips and tricks, which you can clearly just learn through the tutorial on the Photoshop webpage or by searching on the Photoshop tools in the top right, you can know how to edit photos exactly how you want. You can brighten them, you can darken them, you can crop them, you can rearrange the coloring. It's perfect for changing the photos to look exactly how you imagined. Well, once you have the photos, of course, you need to put the photos together. And there's no other site I would use than the software called InDesign. It was also my first time using this. It was extremely user friendly, just as Photoshop, because they're made by the same company, Adobe. I used it to alter the placement of the text in the photos. They give you a lot of guidelines. They show you where the magazine should be spacing. There's a lot of fonts. You can download your own fonts. It was an easy use software, and it really made the magazine look as good as it does. Of course, an important piece of hardware is the computer that we're doing this all on. I used a MacBook for most of the time, but when I came home to do work outside of the office, I used my HP computer. These are both desktops, which is perfect because there is a large screen that you can really see all the small aspects of the magazine that you're creating. It's great for storing the data. It's great for putting the magazine together. I mean, of course, without a computer, none of this would be possible. It has all the Photoshop, it has all the InDesign software on it, so a computer is very important. Following the use of the computer, of course, you need to take the memory from one computer to another when you're working at home and in the office. And as a lot of these files are large and the apps are not transferable, as you have to pay for one app on one computer and use it to the other, I recommend using a flash drive. It was very easy, on the go, quick to carry, and when I was taking the memories from my camera and taking them into my computer so I can download them into Photoshop, I used an SD card, which is kind of like a flash drive but for a camera. Both my computers have slots for SD cards, If you don't have one, buy them. They're cheap. You can get one on Amazon for about $5 to $7. And this is another piece of hardware that was perfect use for a magazine. And finally, in order to create a magazine, you have to first have an idea. You should know what it looks like. You should know what it should look like, and especially for the ads and the exercises and everything else we used, we have to reach out to companies. We have to reach out to influencers. We have to reach out to models, and we have to do our own research on what other companies are. Of course, little insider secret, we take a lot of the common conventions from other magazines, such as Men's Fitness and Men's Health, and we use them on our magazine because they look good and they sell good. So in order to do this, we used Google. It's my favorite search engine. This is an online technology that we used in order to research our competition. We researched who we would be selling to. Any research we did, it was through Google, and this was the perfect amount of technology integration, and this really aided the creation of our project, as now we knew what designs we should use, what elements we shouldn't leave out, or we should leave out because they look crowded on this magazine, and it really just tied the entire magazine together. Alright, so now that you guys are aware of the technology that we use, I'll repeat it again. We use the camera, we use Google, we use the computer, we use InDesign, we use Photoshop, and we use flash drive. I want to walk you through the process of how we created the magazine using these tools, and just so you guys can understand the order that we do it and how we do it, so you guys can create your own magazines. So first off, of course, you have to research. You can never start your own magazine without research first, because as I repeated earlier, you have to know what it should look like. You have to know what you're looking for. You don't want to take a crappy photo and then have to redo a photo shoot 8 times when you could research what type of photos you should be taking. Of course, everyone wants original content. Original content may be a better sell to the audience you're looking for, but what works, and that's what most companies use, but it's up to you as the creator. But continuing from Google, after learning what layout you should use, what photos you should use, then you can start with a camera. You take a camera, you set up a photo shoot with a model. You can contact the model if it's a friend, or you can contact them through Google. There's online model services. You're going to have to pay if it's a more professional model, but just get someone who looks good. If you're creating a fitness magazine, someone who you can actually look at for a long time and not get sick of them, because you want viewers' attention. That's the entire point of a magazine. Once you have all that set up, you take your camera. I use the Canon EOS Rebel T7, as I said before. You can use any camera. You go to a location, you take your shots. Then once you have enough shots, remember to take a lot of shots, because although you're not going to use all of them, it's great to have a great variety of options to choose from, so that way you don't have to keep going back and rehiring your models. Once you have the shots, then you can take them to your computer via the SD card that I talked about earlier. You download them to your computer, you take them from your computer, and then I like to copy them to a flash drive, so that way I can have them when I take my flash drive home, so I always have the photos I took, instead of just being on the computer I use in my office, or the SD card I have in the camera. You add them to your computer. Your computer should have editing softwares on them. I use InDesign and Photoshop. You have to pay for them. They're in Adobe. You transfer the photos to Photoshop. You edit them to make them look good. Get rid of the background features you don't need. Change the lighting, all that good stuff. Then you can take them to InDesign. This is where you add the text. This is where you add a lot of the colors behind the text. Photoshop is only for photos, hence Photoshop. So once you finish your photos in Photoshop, you take them to InDesign to create the actual magazine. InDesign has a lot of magazine layouts already. You can use pre-made layouts, or you can customize your own layout. But InDesign gives you guidelines to use. They show you where stuff should be, so it's very easy to use. And then once you're done, you can upload this to your flash drive and print out your magazine. It's as easy as that. You can, for printing your magazine, of course, you can print it online by just saving it and uploading it to your website, or you can contact a printing service, but that will be talked about in a later podcast. As always, see you next week and stay creating. Bye.